Hello and welcome to the Glasgow PD podcast, episode 32. I'm joined today by Scott Simpson.
Hello.
And Andy Scott.
How you doing?
We are live from the podcast rooms in West Regent Street. Listen to that audio.
It's beautiful. Crisp.
It's crisp. It's been a while since us three have been united.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're going to talk about the realities of becoming or being a PT. So Andy, first of all, why did you suggest this topic, mate? Is there something that you really want to drill home?
So basically scrolling through social media and that, you see a lot of posts from starting out PTs with video photos and stuff, and it almost seems like they're just lowering their worth before they've even started. Be it just completely missing the point with certain posts, or just basically trying to focus on picking up PTs on the gym floor. They're trying to be too social media type PTs. And I saw a few of them just before I kind of messaged you, and then obviously I saw your story and I was like, oh bang, that's a good excuse to kind of talk about this. But ourselves, I think obviously you're the best out of the three of us in social media. I try and do my bit, and Scott, you obviously try and do your bit as well. But you can tell when a PT's first starting out, and I think they're just far too focused on nailing social media before they've nailed the PT side of things. And that applies for trying to be not just a one-to-one PT, but also trying to push themselves into the online industry way before they've even established themselves as a one-to-one PT. So basically, that's why I just want to touch on the realities of actually when you first take your first step in the industry and what you should expect, what you should be doing, rather than trying to mirror what kind of the well-established and successful PTs do. Because if you focus on the one-to-one PT initially from that point, you will get to that point where social media is your best tool, but it's almost as if they're taking 100 steps before they've taken one.
Yep,
so
totally agree, mate.
So.
And that comes for, we're all trying to do these kind of fancy apps and edits, and people want to know how you do these secret video edit and stuff. And Scott, you're sitting there right now, and you didn't start your social media properly until about a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago. Am I right?
Yeah, a couple of years.
You were the busiest PT in your gym with not a social media in sight. So, and the same can be said of you, Andy. You joined, and you obviously had your bodybuilding follow, and everybody was get joined in on your journey. But when you went to Pure Gym, and I'll get you to elaborate on this later, because it is a problem that you encountered when you go into a gym, was you didn't do much in your social media. You came to a gym, the biggest guy in the gym. Do you remember when you started in Pure Gym? Remember what weight you were?
134 kilo. Yeah.
So you weren't exactly the most relatable guy there.
No,
you weren't the most approachable guy for the commercial gym goer. So, it's I think for me, as much as I'm pro social media and pro how much it can, grow your business, I learned the basics first.
Aye.
Scott, you obviously learned the importance of the number one thing with one-to-one PT in terms of getting new clients, which is referrals. You didn't rely on fancy marketing, fancy Instagram, fancy social media, fancy posts. So I guess what Andy's also trying to get at is that if you did the foundations, you can build a good sustainable business. Yes, social media will take you to new heights, but like Andy said, the people just starting out need to know the realities of the basics. I think form, etc.
Aye, I think in some ways it was actually a little bit of an advantage. Like, it wasn't like, I've been PTing for 7-8 years, something like that. So I didn't really have I didn't start with a social media page, whereas a lot of people are kind of I suppose, and it makes sense to do this, to be fair, this isn't like having a dig or anything like that. They've got a social media page set up for when they start, and that's fine. Like I said, it makes sense to do that. It's not a dig, but I kind of feel like that was a bit of an advantage that I didn't have that, because I was just solely reliant on what I was doing in the gym, and that was it. There was no other distractions, and that was all my focus. That's where all my time went. And I do think that there is this tendency to, I suppose it's like you sort of buy into how the kind of the PT thing looks more than what it actually is, and that's because you're seeing it on social media all the time. And like I said, I just think it was a bit of an advantage that I didn't have that. All my focus, all my energy went into just being on the gym floor, how I was on the gym floor, how I was with clients, and that was everything. Like I said, it was only like a couple of years ago where I started properly using social media. And it definitely has its advantages. It's not like, but I do feel like in those early stages, like my focus was in the right place because I didn't have the option.
Yeah, you didn't have to pretend that you had a business. You already had one.
Yeah.
More people interact on social media than they do in the gym floor now.
Aye.
Like more people are like, send me a message, how's your fitness goals? Instead of, if you've got 20 to 30 people in a class, you put your head down and go away at the end of the class instead of asking the 20, 30 people that are in front of you. But it's because social media, we can hide behind that. We can be like, hey guys, I've got 2 more spaces left, and advertise that way, and then the client gets in to meet you and be like, oh, this lassie's pure bubbly, this guy's seems pure nice. They get in and they're like, hi, how you doing?
Aye.
Zero personality.
Aye.
Because they're hiding behind their social media front. So like, it takes 7-8 years ago when you were in the gym, I mean, there would have been people established when you started in the gym, PT wise, and you'd have looked and went, why is he so busy? Why is she so busy? Right, because when he's with his client, he has tunnel vision on the client. He's not looking about. His client's got great form. They get great results. Right, I'm going to copy that guy. Instead, now it's like, oh, that lassie or that guy looks like they've got a successful business on Instagram. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to copy what they're saying and what they're doing. And ultimately, it just leads to you
almost word for word.
In most cases, it's like plagiarism. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
So, that's worth noting that, and that's a good point, mate. I never thought of that actually you never had it to start out with, which helped massively. I was the same, like, it wasn't really booming at that point, but I just had, and any PT listening to this, young or old, the more conversations you have, the more clients you'll get, not the more conversations you have on social media. Do you know what I mean? If you've got people in front of you, talk to them first, and then reach out on social media.
Aye. Even when I was starting, there was like a saying that kind of went about a little bit. I can't remember who said it, but it was maybe even when I was like, even before I started being a PT, where they were saying the first thing you should do is you should master your postcode. Like, you should almost be like the go-to in the area sort of thing, and that should be your focus. Whereas now I don't think that is the focus. I think it's like, how many followers can I get on?
100%.
Aye. And so you skip the basics. I think it's like training. I think there's a lot of people in the PT thing now who are missing out on the basics just because their focus is in the wrong place.
Yep.
Yeah, when I first came to Bath Street, like, I was kind of thrown into PT because things didn't work out in my other kind of. Well, I'm an engineer to trade, and obviously when the oil industry took a big hit, that's when I decided to take on PT. But the reason I hadn't took on PT was it just wasn't something I wanted to do. I didn't want to combine my hobby and my job. So when I went into PT, I had that kind of, I almost had a pretty good social media following behind me. But when I came in, I was a bit naive and a bit arrogant to the fact that, one, that people were just going to come up and talk to me because that guy's massive. He knows what he's doing. When reality, in commercial gyms and in most gyms, to be honest, I'm not approachable. I think even nowadays I'm still not approachable.
Do you remember that time when that guy walked in? We were both on the same.
Yeah,
we were
that was so funny.
We were next to each other on a bit of kit on the flat bench, which is just right next to each other in our gym. And someone walked in and like just scanned us and walked past Andy to come to me to ask a question at the door.
Yeah, like I remember
big scary bodybuilder.
So yeah, so that just proves the kind of point. But when I first came in, I was like, everyone's going to come talk to me to ask how to build muscle or whatever. And so my demeanor was, I'm not talking to anyone. Also coming from like a bodybuilding background, like bodybuilding gyms and stuff, you just get in and crack on. I had to develop over time the way I spoke to people, the way I approached people in the gym. Even to this day, I still do it. I have to remind myself when I'm going in, right, you need to smile, because if you don't, you look like you're way to stab them.
Aye.
Right? And I know like, especially like female members, that it can be quite intimidating for someone like myself. But it's not just someone like myself, like kind of.
I think PTs in that as well.
It's a PT in general. It's can be quite intimidating for a few people. But so I had to drastically change the way in which I approached people on the gym floor, people in the gym, spoke to people, and conducted myself with clients, because I wanted people on the gym floor to see me with a client, just say a middle-aged woman in like just coming in and doing a bit of mobility, a wee bit of weights and a wee bit of cardio. I wanted to see people with someone like that. So when I was with her, I knew that I had to sit there and really hone in how I conduct my sessions. And granted, I'm only focusing on my client, but you are your own advertisement, and I wanted people to see, oh, this guy is not just a big stupid bodybuilder. Yep. And over time, it slowly, I think it did kind of progress, and then people would come to me, and then they'd message me through social media, they'd see me on social media, and then kind of message me about PT and stuff, and online, and that kind of thing. So that for me was my reality being a PT, was that you can't just step in and assume that things are going to work for you, because I thought, coming with my knowledge and my experience in the weight room, that I would have people throwing money at me, and that was not the case. I didn't make a dime. I know we don't use dimes here. I didn't make a penny the first 6 months of PTing.
So the takeaway point there is that it's less important about the fact that you know how to build muscle, and form executions and very, very important. But first and foremost, you need to be relatable to the client. You need to be able to understand what they're thinking, what they want, and especially as the time goes on. That's the one thing that I've recommended a few clients to you. And on the surface, the first thing I say is wait till you meet them, because on the surface of your Instagram and stuff, it's your Instagram. You post what you want for your following, what gets you most engagement. But from a business point of view, as soon as they meet you, that's when it's fine on the surface. And that's just the case with it, I guess. But the biggest takeaway point is, like Andy learned very quickly, you might have to adapt to the gym you're in.
Yeah, 100%.
If it's a leisure club, if it's a bodybuilder gym and you want to be part of that, then you might get swallowed up unless you're in about that sort of stuff. But you need to adapt. You need to move away from what other people are doing and prioritise what you do. Like you said, mate, everything you do in the gym gets watched by at least one member, a potential client. And as soon as you take your foot off the gas, they put their wallet back in their pocket.
Yeah.
As harsh as that.
I mean, like, we can, if they've been PTs and all that, we can see it a mile off. You just look, when I go into other gyms, like, I like doing that in other gyms, just seeing how PTs interact with each other and how they interact with clients and stuff. And you go into some gyms and you're just like he does not care. He does not. He does not give a shit about his client. And granted, we're a little bit more open to it because we want to go in and see how everything's working and see what people are doing, just to kind of maybe learn off someone. And maybe members don't see that, the general public don't see that, but sometimes it's just so flippant and just so obvious that you're like, surely people see that, and they see the way that you're with your client, not giving a shit, or you're on your phone or whatever. And
hopefully raise the awareness as well, mate. Like unfortunately, because health and fitness is what sometimes deemed as just alien to people, that they just give their money to somebody who's convenient to them. So if it's a local gym, you just give your money to a trainer there. Instead of that, I urge you to have a watch, have a look at their stuff, look at them in person training people. Does the client look like they're having a good time? Does the trainer care? Does it look like is he just leaning, ready to fire and ready to see his next one out the door? Do your homework. Like, I've spoken about this a million times on podcasts, but hopefully that you can just use a bit of savvy, because I know sometimes people just panic because they want results quick and they just hand their money at any Tom, Dick and Harry. So have a good think about it. So we'll move on to the. Like Andy shared one of his sort of reality checks that he had in the start of his PT game. Scott, what would you say was one of yours? It was at certain points. I know there was a time where financially it was like, right, I need to give this a good go here.
I suppose I always remember when I first started, I think that I'd sort of probably been sold a little bit on this idea that I was going to walk in and it was like because it is marketed this way, isn't it? It's like you can earn, I don't know what they say these days. What do they say, 30 grand, 40 grand a year?
You see 100k on Instagram.
Oh, do they? Aye, right. Well, we see
six figures, bro.
Six figures.
I was a wee while ago, so maybe it's inflation or something. I don't know. But so it used to be like that, and it is not like that. You walk into a gym and like I was sort of like I wasn't on my own. I was given like help. People offered help and all that. It wasn't like that, but you're sort of like just in there, and all of a sudden it's just you have to put the work in, and I didn't really necessarily have that realisation from the get-go. But yeah, I was sort of working still part-time. I was washing cars. My dad had a garage, so I was washing cars there, and it was literally I just did enough there to afford the train journey. I was in Larbert and I was commuting to Glasgow. Just did enough there to afford the train journey through, and it got to probably about 6 months, I think, where I hadn't. It was just the realisation was slowly hitting me that it wasn't just going to be handed to me. This is not the way it's going to work. And like I said, I didn't have a social media or anything like that. It was really about what you did on the gym floor. It was what you did in classes. It was who even knew you existed. Do you know what I mean? I was turning up and doing my shifts and then going home, and not maybe doing enough of the extra stuff. And there was probably a moment where at the gym I was at, they were doing a kind of course, a sort of weight loss course thing, and there was a lot of people had turned up for it, and one of the kind of more experienced PTs was the kind of manager said, "Oh, this guy's going to help you sit," because you had to take everyone's measurements on day one, right? And they were like, "This guy's going to help you sort it out." And he came to me before, and he was like, "Listen, why do we know? Just say to them, as part of this course, right? You can get a free PT session. We'll just do that, and we'll just split them in half. You could take half, and I'll take half." And yeah, and that's what we did. We did that, and I picked up clients from it, and it was like this wow moment where I was like, "All right, okay." Right, this is a little bit what it's like. And so I started doing things like that. I started actually doing little bits and pieces, and eventually it sort of took off a little bit from there. But it took about 6 months for the reality of what the job actually was on that side of it. Because I was always keen to help. Like, it was not that. I was always keen to help. And I sort of, you learn a lot when you start PT from there onwards. You probably turn up thinking you know what you're doing, and then you realise quite quickly as you learn more and more and more that you get better and better, and you think, you see how much better you are as a PT when you're a year in, 2 years, 3 years or whatever. But it was never because of lack of care, nor that I didn't have a clue what I was doing. It's just that I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't like putting myself out there and make moves, and I was a bit disillusioned as to what PT actually was. Because even then, without social media and all that, I still thought it was this glamorous job where you just turn up and it was like you just get given people to train, and then you go home, happy days. But it wasn't really like that.
Aye, you need to really take yourself out of your comfort zone with it. And in a lot of ways, it's very similar to the clients you're trying to seek. Do you know what I mean? They have to reach out, and certainly from a PT point of view, you need to have a ton of conversations. For me, even when you were there as well, when you started, you were one of the smallest guys in a group of like 10, 15 guys. So on a surface point of view, you were probably drifting away in the crowds like a faceless almost.
Yeah, I was intimidated as well.
Yeah, well, that's it. So you're young as well. So one of the things that I found was obviously you want to get respect for your peers. You want to get respect for your peers and learn from them and work together with them. But what a lot of times, one of the biggest realities that I found was that I was spending too much time with them, and I was getting their respect. And for me it was about, right, you have to be here, you have to be in the gym, get seen training people. And I'm like, well, I don't have any clients, so I can't be seen training people, right? So I knew that I would go to my classes and give it 100% and make people feel good, and then they would leave, and then I'd sit in the staff room, but I'm here, and then I'd go away and I'd been there for 10 hours. But what had I done in that time? Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying play the hard sell and go to the gym floor and start talking to people. I'm saying one of the things I would tell people who want to become a PT or is a PT right now, that you're going to have to be very, very strict on what you spend your time on and who you spend your time with. Because I lost probably 6 to 8 months just trying to get pally with the PTs and fellow PTs. And I think that happens now online a lot. You'll see other PTs commenting on other PTs' stuff just to be like, hey, gal, this and that, just to get respect online, and I've never even met them yet. Probably show more attention to other PTs or other fitness people than clients or potential clients. You've got a social media because you're meant to be there to help people, not just to be pally with people and be popular and current amongst the industry. Do you know what I mean? So that's one thing I would say is choose your time wisely and who you spend it with. If you need to be the only PT that leaves the staff room after just eating and then goes to a coffee shop and does work, I wish I did it sooner, but instead I was just trying to be like school. I was trying to be popular. I was trying to be, oh, he's funny, whatever. It's like, well, funny doesn't pay the bills. Do you know what I mean? It can if you monetize it, your clients and that.
I think you spoke on the story of what I used to do when I was when I first started. I was doing it 2 seconds ago. I'd sit on the first floor and pretend to type on my laptop and hope that I'd catch eyes with people passing me. It looked a bit seedy because obviously that table's outside the female changing room, but I would just sit there and I would just try and get someone's eye like that and just be like, please talk to me.
But see, you knew what you had to do.
Aye, and that's what I'm trying to point out is that if you're thinking about PT, is that you can't just do your shift and go home. You can't just do an arm session and hope someone clocks you, because no one's going to approach you when you're training and be like, can you train me? They're not, that's rare. That is rare. That's my reality. I sat there and I was just pretending to type just like that, and then occasionally I'd get a hiya, hello, and then that turned into, I don't know, talking to them more often, and and stuff like that. So actually, we'll go back to my point earlier of me trying to be welcoming to all types of people. Is remember that older woman I used to train, the grey hair, it was just me and her on the treadmill for about 30 minutes. Like, she just basically paid me to talk to her, but like that's one example of her just like passing me and I just get trapped in conversation with her, and then she was like, oh well, I'm looking just to kind of help with this. I'm like, cool. So it's wee things like that. It's just small efforts here and there in the gym, and I think just as you're saying is that I don't know, it's like the PTs want to be there but they don't at the same time. So
I feel like it's like when I think back to when I started and where my focus was, it was all about like all I just wanted to do really was be on the gym floor with people. Like that's what I wanted to do. That's why I got into it. But I had no concept of like really marketing myself. It took 6 months and someone to say, why do we not offer a free taster session, before I even thought of that as a concept. Do you know what I mean, of marketing myself? And anyway, I just thought people were going to come up to me. But now I feel like it's like that dynamic's flipped, and now all people want to do is like be like sort of market themselves, like to be a social media PT that people will just go to, and they don't put as much into the actual being on the gym floor and what you're doing with people on the gym floor.
Yep.
So I mean, I could be wrong. That was just the kind of the way it sort of looks from my perspective, based on starting.
It directly correlates with the fact that everybody wants to be an online coach now.
That's just the way.
Exact same thing. Nobody. I done a post a while ago about this. No, everybody wants to be an online coach. Not everybody wants to be a PT. What's wrong with being a PT?
Totally.
Because it's like, on the surface of things, when they get a wee glimpse of how much hard work they need to do on the ground, on the gym floor, they realise that, oh no, I'd rather sit on my laptop in Starbucks. What time do you start this morning?
6.
Andy? Time me up?
5. I get up at 4.
Time me up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
4.
Thursday. Scott, same?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what is it? 6 o'clock here on a Friday night doing a podcast.
Still got work to do when I get home and all that as well.
I still got check-ins to do the day tomorrow. My point is that if you're not prepared to work and you can't find happiness and enjoyment in this, you're never going to be a PT. So all the stuff we're talking about is irrelevant, because it's a very rewarding job if you can, for your clients, for you, financially as well, if you're willing to put the work in. But you shouldn't feel that work. You should just get tired. You shouldn't get to the point where you're fed up with your clients. If you feel that you in 6 months want to become an online coach, one, you will not have the understanding of your clientele. You won't know their struggles. You won't know how to speak to them on your social media, which is essentially going to be your only method of income, because you're going to go online. So I would suggest that you spend at least 2 years, 3 years training as many people as possible, build up a catalogue of transformations, client testimonials, before you even think about online, because I'll try and like keep one-to-one going until as long as possible, because the amount I learn every day, purely like most of my content comes from speaking to one-to-one clients. That's what it is. So I would have a dry up if I didn't have the people. Plus I love it. Plus I get better results because I train them.
Yeah, I mean, like, just lost my train of thought.
One of the things I was going to say is,
I've got it now.
Right, okay,
so yeah, basically, like, when I was quite lucky in the position because I was coaching bodybuilders before I came into PT, so I kind of come from the kind of flip. So my online was quite good before I came in to the one-to-one side of things. So I was the opposite. I knew how to talk to people over email, over WhatsApp, over text and stuff. And still to this day, I think my feedback is one of the things I'm quite proud of, is how much I sit and analyse things and try and give people as much feedback as I possibly can in each check-in. And for me, like, in all honesty, like, when I first started, I would sweat every single session because I did not know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to talk to people that weren't bodybuilders or a guy in their mid-20s. I have no idea how to talk to them. And yeah, every single session, I would sit there just fucking sweating and being just so scared of doing the next session because I was like, I need to think of chat. And over time, the skill of just talking to people and being with people built up over time, and I've that translated through to my online, because I'm like, look, if there's an issue, phone me. or like we can FaceTime. Before that, I'd be like, how dare you phone me? Like I'm not picking up the phone. Didn't know how to talk to people. That was one thing. It was a bit of a kind of social anxiety of being in that position of not power, but you know what I mean, like as a PT, and having to talk to people that you just had like, almost in some cases nothing in common. You know, and that's another reality of kind of what you have to do. You have to be aware that there are people of different backgrounds. Some people, I've had clients who don't give a shit when they're there, and you have to drag them through the session. And you have to understand that they really want, I don't know, they want to be fit or gain some muscle, lose body fat, but they don't really want to be there. And you have to, one, inspire them. You have to be able to understand why they don't want to be there, and this, that, and this. I mean, how many PTs do we know, coaches we know, where they're like, oh, for fuck's sake, like so-and-so hasn't eaten this, or she hasn't done that, or he hasn't done this, and that. And you have to sit back and be like, right, here's why they haven't done that. And then you've got to kind of like just reason with them and kind of learn and just know how to deal with these certain situations. And I think you are, as a starting PT, you are going to be frustrated. I mean, the number one thing is PTs chasing clients for check-ins. That's usually the number one thing that I hear. And then you become so frustrated, and you end up not liking the client and all that kind of stuff. You have to realize that people aren't you. Like, like
especially you.
Yeah, I came from a competitive bodybuilding background. Like, that's just so like not the norm. So I had to learn pretty quickly, like, so-and-so isn't going to stick to their diet 7 days a week. They're just not. And there's no point in me shouting and bawling at them if they don't. So these wee things as well, as you have to learn about characters and diversity and all that sort of stuff. I think being a PT has made me a far better person in general.
Definitely.
Just being able to deal with all these kind of people.
You've shifted your mindset, mate. You're not being locked in on you need to do this or I cannot train you.
Aye, totally.
And Scott will tell you this as well. Over time, I'm the same. I used to get frustrated because don't get me wrong, you only want the best for the client. You're not doing it because it's your hidden agenda. You're doing it because you want the best for the client. You want results. But over time, I feel that my clients listening to this might know my secret, but I feel like you become a kind of psychologist.
Yep.
And Scott, you're good with this in terms of you know how to deal with people. You know what to say. You know when not to say something. Do you know what I mean? And what that does is build up a pure bulletproof relationship with the client. Do you know what I mean? There's clients now that you know when to put the gas down on them and go full throttle, and you know when to take it off just by the clear indications to give you. So that you're absolutely right, mate. You can't underestimate how important it is to just understand them. If a client, like your client, used to, if I want to sit in the leg press for half an hour and have you talk to me and listen to me whinging, I just need your ear.
Aye.
Let me do it.
Aye.
Does Andy go all bodybuilder mode and say, no, we need to go right now? Your rest period's now.
Aye.
No, I knew, but that's probably something you learned, mate.
Aye, 100%, yeah.
And it's the same with that woman on the treadmill. If you look at training principles, this is a complete waste of your 1 hour here. But I know what you need for this today. You just need to move your legs and feel somebody to talk to.
And so you obviously came from a kind of bodybuilding background. That was kind of like your start point. I went to uni and I did sport and exercise science, and the degree I did in Aberdeen, it was basically applied physiology. I actually thought it was going to be like PE, advanced higher PE. Do you know what I mean? I thought it would be PE
2.0.
2.0.
Sounds dynamite.
But it wasn't. It was applied physiology, but I didn't mind that. Like I've always been quite. I think when it comes to things like that, I would probably say that like there are certain elements of fitness where I can be quite sort of like almost geeky. Do you know what I mean? I like the technical side of it. And one of the things I've had to be careful with myself is that I've had to really rein that in a little bit, because people don't need to know that. They don't want to know that. Just because I like it, like it sometimes it maybe complicates things a little bit unnecessarily and all the rest of it. And that's kind of like the background that I've come into, and the way in which I've probably had to temper it back a little bit, because I was always quite like that. I still am like that though. I still love that side of it. It's just not always relatable to every single person. And I think that, I thought because I turned up and I knew what a calorie deficit was, that every person I speak to is going to achieve their biggest goals. And it's just not, you need to, the ability to relate to people was something I underestimated at the start. And it's huge, because people like they like the idea that you're knowledgeable. That's important, but they buy into you as a person, and that's something I underestimated at the start. Was how do you build bridges with people?
Yep.
How do you get them on board? How do you get them to trust you? My best client, I don't mind saying this, even if I've got other clients that are listening, but it's because I learnt the most from them, and it was one of my early clients. Didn't achieve a thing, right? The guy's goal was weight loss, and he didn't achieve his weight loss goal, right? And I just couldn't work it out. He used to give me food diaries and all that, and I was like, I don't get it. I do not understand this. Look at this. What am I doing wrong? Like, what's happening here? Now, with my perspective, he was obviously lying because he didn't feel comfortable enough to tell me that he wasn't able to do the things I was asking of or whatever, do you know what I mean, for whatever reason. Another thing that you kind of touched on there was that kind of like the tendency to blame the client a little bit. Because I think the first thing you need to ask yourself is, well, why aren't they doing that? Like, what could I do to make that easier? And this just all comes down to how personable you can be, how relatable to the person you can be. And I learned a ton from that, like that person who didn't achieve his goals, and was the feedback he was giving me just wasn't true. It just wasn't true, and there was nothing I could do with that. But like my kind of thing is to look at it and say, could I do more? And that was like eye-opening to me. Like, so that's my first port of call now, is if someone's struggling with something, it's not, can I just get on with it? It's, or just do it. What's your, do you know, it's how can I make this easier? And I think that's an important thing. It's about being able to relate to people. It's not just, like I said, I come from my sort of background before I started. I knew the technical stuff. That was not a problem at all. One of the things I learned quite quickly because of my experience was you need to be completely relatable, and you need to be able to, like, people need to buy into you.
Yeah, it's not about how much you know, it's about how much you care, mate. It's as simple as that. Like, people will buy into you. I mean, you're sitting chatting at the bit, waiting for them to ask you where the muscle connects and what salient point that is, when, you know, the reality is it's low on the list of priorities to talk about. The first thing you talk about is, how's your day been? That's number one. And when you spend some time with PTs, I know I felt this, you might be similar. Andy, you were really clued up on the bodybuilding side of it, so you were quite willing to talk about that kind of stuff. When you spend time with PTs as a new PT, you're almost like, right, I need to know more. Because they're saying something in the staff room that I don't really remember that in the course. You know what I mean? When really it's talk about client struggles. You know, the best thing you can do is, or a client, you know, even if you're a brand new PT, and some of the first questions you get asked, if you're just a PT, which is usually above average physique you've got, so you maybe haven't experienced a lot of the nutrition struggles that people go through. So if your client says to you on day one, your first ever client saying, I can't stop snacking, and you go, well, I'm not a snacker, I eat chicken rice all day, I'm all right. Just by having the right conversations with the right people and asking, you know, instead of asking a PT how they do this with our marketing or whatever, and you're brand new, ask them how they do their check-ins with their clients. How do they find out as much information as possible for their clients? Because that's what it all is about now. Like, I honestly, I'm doing.
We were talking about check-ins the other week, couple of weeks ago. Like, so how do you do this? How do we do that? So,
yeah, like I can't believe how far I've got with how little extra knowledge I've added onto my armour. Like, I've not done an extra nutrition course. Don't get me wrong, I read a lot and I watch a lot of the big stuff and I take a lot in. But it's amazing how little that actually matters to my clients. Yeah, it's baffling. So PTs listening to this, you know, it's all well and good. We are a marketer these days where we need to do our own taxes, we need to do X, Y, and Z. But you can't do all that because you won't last a year. None of that will be relevant if you don't do the basics right. Train a ton of people and relate to a ton of people. Yeah. Because all that's going to happen to that, the same as what happened with Scott, was he got a ton of referrals. After that guy who you didn't know wasn't getting results, once you flick that switch, you get referrals after that because you became relatable.
I learned more from that person who really didn't achieve their goal than clients who go on to smash it. Like, you learn a little bit from everybody, I think, probably. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that was a proper turning point a little bit for me, because it just sort of changed. Like I said, I had all the technical knowledge. Like, that was not an issue, but it made me realise how important it was to be able to relate to people and to have people feel comfortable enough that they can be honest with you with their struggles. You're not going to judge them, because I think sometimes that's the big fear about the gym and personal trainers, is that they're judging, you know, and you need to break down that barrier, because I think for the most part, I would like to think, I don't know if I'm just being hopefully optimistic here, but like that they actually want to care and all that, but it's about, you have to do the bit to break down that barrier. You can't just assume that the person knows that. You need to go the extra mile with them, and like I said, kind of build bridges and all that. Yeah.
I would say 90% it is the trainer's fault. I'm not say fault, quote unquote, but I mean, they just need to get it out of them. Like, when have you ever heard me say I hate a client? Very, very rarely. If I do, they're no longer with me. Do you know what I mean? And you hear far too often, like Andy said, PTs just hate their clients, and they constantly say it. You're going like, well, it's your fault. I don't care if they don't stick to a diet. I don't care if they do this, X, Y, and Z. It's your fault. You're not asking the right questions. You're not giving them the right ultimatums. You're not giving them the right platform to tell you their problems. You can't get defensive. This isn't a relationship. You know what I mean? Andy, what I was going to ask was, I know you mentioned there about before I forget, about like struggling to kind of be friendly and be like, hi, how you doing? I'm Andy, and you're typing. When was that? Was that around about the same time? Because obviously you were on shifts, and then you went on rent quite quickly to the gym. But I remember you for a wee period kind of struggling to pick up.
Yeah.
Was that around about that time? Was that?
Aye, yeah.
What did you, apart from, you know, changing your outlook and realising that you had to talk to people, whatever, what else did you feel that you done? Was there anything else, if you were to give MD advice to know that is probably like similar scenario to you, what would you say?
So so basically up until when I started in April 2016, I didn't notice I had nothing. I had a house and everything. I had like just enough to cover bills. So I was getting one-off sessions now and again, posing now and again, and things like that from April to September. And then I've been doing classes on a Saturday night. The only client I've ever picked up from a class was my first like proper like direct debit client. And I remember when she was like, there's the standing order, like she sent a screenshot of like the online banking thing. And I was like, right, I'm going to treat her like she's the only source of income I have. Like every penny that comes from her is my only source of income. So I was like, every session needs to be absolutely spot on. Again, to advertise to other people around the gym, I want her to know that I care. Like she's my bird. That's how much I wanted it. Like, I want to be like every check-in I'm going to be like, how's this? How's that side of your life? Like stuff that doesn't even matter with check-ins. Just try and build up this like this almost friendship with this client. And I think when it's a bit kind of cliche and a kind of bit up in the air and all that kind of stuff, but like the positivity that you're trying to like provide this person, it then bounces back. And then when you're in the gym, like because I was getting results with this girl and she was having a good time, I was like, right, okay, again, we come back to the asking if you're in the wrong. I was like, no, I'm not in the wrong. Like I know that I'm good. And then that kind of demeanor just kind of, I think, resonated. And then she told pals and that, and then people saw me around the gym more, and it's just been a bit happier and not just being this growling bear in the corner. And it was I think for me that really changed. My outlook was just like, this is the only person in my life that matters right now. Yep. And that kind of shone through. Aye. That's how I treat it. Mate,
that's a very good point. That just reminded me of when, like, because I remember you count the hours up, didn't you? As you go, you get a client and they do 2, and then you get another one. You're right, 4 hours a week, I'm on. And you give yourself a target, maybe 10, 15 hours or whatever, and you go, right, that'll be enough to get me going. And anybody listening to this that is maybe 6 months into the job, or even a year into the job, and they are in that sort of 15 mark, 10 mark, when 2's in holiday, and I think you're one good client away from really excelling. Yeah. Would you agree, Scott?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's that is the way you typically tend to sort of measure it as well, isn't it? You sort of start to like either count how many clients you've got, or start to count the hours that you're doing and stuff like that. Yeah, I think so.
It's amazing how just getting one client twice a week, seeing you on that gym floor, wear your uniform on, but there is a buzz, and straight away you almost, the imposter thing goes away, and you're like, I actually should be here. Don't get me wrong, mate, the first person I trained, this last for Australia, And I think I don't even know what I charged them, mate. Right? It was one of the ones, right in the Pure Gym rules, I think. And she came in, I didn't know what to do with it at all, mate. Right, I googled this workout plan. Printed it off, right? It was this PDF with another business name on top of it, by the way. I didn't even know my business at this point. It's just my name, obviously.
You're not Hawkeye, was that not?
Before Hawkeye, right?
Sorry, right.
Don't drop that one. Don't drop that one in there. And I just did what I would do in a class where I just took her in the corner of the gym, did planks, press ups, mountain climbers. But it was my first time, do you know what I mean? And I feel that we work in a commercial gym, so this is specific to people who work in a commercial gym, that the members almost need to buy into you. There's quite a high turnover of PTs, and I feel that once you've almost served your time, I think that, like, you know, after about 3 or 4 months, they go, right, okay, he's not just coming and going. He's there. And he said hi to me a few times, and, you know, like Andy mentioned earlier, like, everybody's different. You know, Scott's quite articulate. Andy loves his check-ins. He loves, you know, his strength would be the check-ins and writing proper paragraphs of stuff to people to give them. You know, there might be other people listening to this that are, you know, jolly and run up to you and be like, do you want to do 5 puppies with me? And that's fine. Play to your strengths. But what you need to kind of be in the PT game is have a wee touch on everything as well, which you had today, mate, and it's actually worked out better for you in the long run. But I feel that that's one of the things that PTs need to kind of realise. Also, let's talk about being a PT right now then. We'll finish on that and talk about the realities of actually being a PT. No becoming one, being one. Very early starts, and for most cases, late finishes. Scott Simpson. So, you know, you start at 6 a.m, sometimes finish at 7, half 7.
Yeah, sometimes 8, yeah.
7 years you've been doing this?
Yeah.
So 7 years. So Scott knows that he should probably not be doing that anymore, but he enjoys it. He enjoys it. That's when a lot of his clients are available. So that's fine. But I was that right up until when? Last year, late last year. So, and you need to be. Am I right? Like you've took a couple of nights away, Andy, haven't you, recently?
Yeah, only because of the online side. Yeah,
because of the online side. So
I'm able to do that. Yeah,
but would you agree that the online side? I mean, you do have a lot of competitors and stuff, and that's fine. But your online side grew because you're 1-to-1 time served.
Yeah,
I mean?
It developed me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Andy's goal was always to go online and get more online clients. So he used this platform of get 1-to-1, and then the taper off there for affordability would be straight into online.
In years to come,
yeah. I mean your clients. So, for example, if they did a 2 a week and then 1 a week, and then you want them online, that's kind of where he went with it. So, I finish at 12 or 1 o'clock now. I've waited a long time for that. I do have a good bit online as well, so to try and counteract that. But realistically, you're going to have to, for 2 or 3 years, work those shifts. You might have to go home for 3 or 4 years and come back. It's just the way it is. You're going to need to go where the client wants to go. But I think if you persevere through the years, that it'll be worth it. And I think you won't get a more rewarding job if you actually just apply yourself. And the most important factor is just working hard, more than anything. And if you get a year or 2 in and you realise you don't actually care, I'm sorry, but you're in the wrong job.
100%.
In my opinion, because it doesn't feel like work, you know.
Yeah, I mean, going back to kind of being a PT, so I'll just touch on my routine. So it's up at 4 Monday to Friday most weeks, and then prep all my meals, and then I do morning clients. So my slots are between 6 a.m. and 1. That's not straight through because obviously some gaps and all that as well. I obviously don't do as much PT as you both of you. And then I'll train, and then I'll be back at 3 o'clock, 3:30 at the flat, and I'll do online work until the moment my head hits a pillow. So that's reality, and that's after doing it for 4 years. You know, as you develop, as you get better, as you become a better PT, you get busier and busier and busier. You got to realise that when that point comes, it's great, and the money is great, and having kind of people come to you for help and stuff is fantastic. It's such a great feeling, but it does get more intense as the years goes on if you do everything kind of right, and you kind of like everything we've been talking about in this podcast, and you do have to devote your life to it. I mean, we all get up at daft hours. You're answering messages on a Saturday and Sunday, even when you tell your clients not to. You could be doing, like, sometimes I'm like, I've just got to get up at 5 on a Sunday and do this plan. It's the only time of day I have to write it, and I'm not letting my service slide by not getting up. So, like, it does take a big part of your life, but that's why it has to be your life, and you have to be passionate. I think all three of us are very, very passionate about doing this, and all with our wee niches and all that as well. And that is the reality of it. If this isn't your life, I know that's maybe a bit strong, but if it isn't your life, then I don't really see you lasting very long, to be honest.
It's an uphill battle.
It's not just a job. It's like a 9 to 5. They can go home and just shut off. We can't. PTs can't. So you really have to love working with people, training people, dealing with people's problems. Some of those problems are just can be a way above your head, and you've just got to try and sort them. And you're going to be some people's best friend. You're going to be some people's drill sergeant. It varies so often, but it has to be your life to make good money at it, and to make it a career. It's a difference between a job and a career.
So, spot on, mate. Love it. Scott, talk us through your week.
My week, it's not probably. I'm up quite early as well. I get up at like 4:30, and he's got half an hour on me. So I get up at 4:30. And my first client's always at 6. I'm quite a routine person, so I don't mind that side of it. I get up at 4:30, like Monday, Friday, and then Saturday I'm actually in the gym in the morning. I start a wee bit later. And yeah, it's long days. I sometimes don't finish till 8 o'clock. And it's pretty constant. One of the things actually, one of the kind of things that I try to factor in now, that it sort of became more apparent to me that I was going to need to do this when I got busy, when I was really busy and time was becoming more of an issue, was just actually breaks and stuff like that. Like you sort of forget. I get to like 2 in the afternoon, it's like I'm starving, and it's like because you've been just like back to back. So I've gotten pretty good at structuring my day, I have to say. But it's long days. It's long days, and it's right. You have to sometimes work right through the weekends, and I try and be quite strict with not doing anything at all on a Sunday. But sometimes you have to give that up a little bit as well. But it's about really enjoying it. Like I don't. That sounds maybe to some people like it must be absolutely brutal, but I don't feel that way. I do. I'm one of these annoying people. I don't dread Monday. I enjoy what I do. So
I'm the same, mate. Like I'm trying to think if there was a time where I did really. I mean, there was a time in my career where I was contemplating doing commercial management. It's just something I'd always done. Like PT was just, I felt like unpredictable. They were offering jobs left, right and centre for a steady wage in management. I briefly thought about it.
In pure gym?
Aye. It was short-lived, and then as soon as I didn't go for it, it just gave me the motivation just to take it for there, and I just focused. And excuse me, after that was pretty much my motivation, was to write enough of the thoughts and move on. Sunday.
So yeah, I think
it's those long days we get there was.
I think a lot of PTs, time management is a big thing. I've PTs that have come and gone in our gym, and you're just like, how can you show up 10 minutes late? Fucking hell, get up earlier, Christ's sake. Like, people are giving you £30 an hour. No other job for someone in your early 20s, late 20s pays that. Really, like, you know what I mean? And so time management needs to be the top priority for you if it's going to become a career or something for you. Like, you can't be showing up to sessions late, and you have to make the most of every second in the day. Every second of the day. Like, I could, if I sat down and saw like time frames of my day, you'll see me doing something productive, at least, if it's for my own bodybuilding, if it's for online, if it's for just messaging a client, making sure they're all right, and then PT, and then every single second has a purpose. And I think, you know, I've seen some PTs with just horrendous time management.
What's the biggest thing you hate that a PT does with a client?
Like a pet peeve.
Yeah, like they're late for them, or what's the biggest thing that you would like for a listener to listen and go, right, I need to avoid that?
Don't go near your phone. People, PTs on their phone.
Yeah,
that is number one, I would say. And then like trying to interact with other PTs on the gym floor.
Yep.
Like, never mind the other PT, you'll see them later. Yep. Like, don't try and have banter back and forth. And if you see a member, say hi, but don't get engaged in conversation. Just, it's lack of focus on the one-to-one client. That's probably the biggest pet peeve.
What about you, Scott?
So
I guess the phone thing for you, is it not?
Probably the same. Yeah, I find that. I mean, out with the, like, I've saw some ridiculous things, but like that's probably one of the ones you see more commonly. I think that's a bit of a thing. I think members pick up on that as well. I don't think that, sometimes you think I could maybe like go into a gym and like see a PT doing something, and sort of maybe for me personally, I sort of feel like it's not the best. I don't know if I'd do that, but it maybe wouldn't be the type of thing that a member would sort of pick up and be like, that's a bit dodgy. That they're doing that, but I think the phone thing is something that everyone recognises as a bit of a piss take.
Well, obviously you get people who enter their clients' weights and all that on their phone.
That's what I do. Just for anyone listening who sees me on my phone.
Yeah, so obviously there's the defence to be made for that, but I think you're right, Andy. Lateness is a big one. I think that always tempts me, mate. There's not many people who jump out of bed in the morning and get to work. Like, I've never hit snooze since I've been doing this job. Since I've been doing it well, I think. I'm up and out of bed. I never even think about getting an arm in or two. I've got a purpose when I get up to get in it. I've got a purpose to get in and either do a post for social media or whatever. But I think lateness is a big one, because it's not just about being late, it's about, it just tells me that like your day's already the joint if you're late for something. Do you know what I mean? You know, when you rush and you get there just on time, it's the start of your day. And it also just speaks volumes for how ready you are for the client, I feel. Do you know what I mean? And the client starts to know. I've even seen things where the client just gets warmed up because they're that used to it. They even do one exercise in, and they'll meet them, 2 exercises in, and just be like, all right, that such and such again.
There's a big part of the job is leading by example, isn't it? I would never sit and pretend that like I've got everything on lockdown. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I'm some sort of robot and just everything runs smooth from start to finish. Like sometimes things happen, but you have to. How can you tell someone if someone's been like, oh yeah, I was in the gym on Wednesday, but I sort of ran out of time, so I had to kind of cut my workout short. How can you say to that person, maybe you should have just got there a wee bit earlier if you can't turn up on time? Do you know what I mean? Like you have to kind of lead by example. You have to do that.
You have to take it serious, mate. This is your business. This is serious stuff here. You need to be. This isn't just your wee job after you've left uni and you're 25, 24, and you're just like, oh, I'll do PT for a while and people hand me cash. Because that's where, us guys sitting here on a Friday night and, the standard we'll try and raise, I want to make these people feel even more inferior. Do you know what I mean? Because, we're getting on a wee bit. I'm 30. But I want to make sure that any of the young PTs know, I don't care if you're young or no. Do you know what I mean? If you pay,
it doesn't matter,
exactly, if you pay a joiner to do something, you don't care what age he is, you get a specific job done. You don't go like, oh, he's a young joiner. So the table doesn't only get 3 legs. I don't care, you're a joiner. Do you know what I mean? So I want to that I mean, it's not the only reason I do this, for content for people listening, clients, potential clients, and to offer good value. But at the same time, I want people to know that the standards have been set now. PT game, it's not just count reps anymore. It's the in-depth check-ins. It's the personalised approach. It's the I understand you. I remember what you told me you were going to do last weekend. All this stuff, because like the other ones are getting caught out, and I can't wait to see them crumble if you don't take it serious.
I mean, like, we're just kind of talking about the online coaching thing, and everyone trying to bounce off that, and everyone trying to be the next big online coach, be the next trained by JP, and you hear some feedback from like some of their clients, and just like, it didn't get back to me for like two weeks. I'm like, fucking 2 weeks for my text message. Are you serious?
You're only online.
Yeah, that's all you do. But like that's again, that's someone jumping the gun and trying to be, like I said, I'd be a next JP or whatever, and just trying to like be something far away in advance where they haven't even mastered like the basics. That happens again. It happens all the time. It's just people just not wanting to serve time. They want to be 100,000 followers on Instagram. They want to be so and so online coach, and they want to be the prep coach this, prep coach that, and you have to pay your dues. Every big coach we all did. We're still paying dues. We haven't mastered this. None of us have. And I go back to the point, like, like you were just saying, like when I see you at like on the top floor in the morning, I know you're writing a post on Instagram or you're doing a social media thing. If you're on your phone, I know that's what you're doing, and I know that's what you're doing as well. And so it's about just being you have to be such a proactive person, and yeah, it may take you a while to realise that. It took me a while to realise that I need to be proactive with developing personality. Like you were saying, like you spent a lot of time in the staff room and that to develop being on the gym floor and honing in with your PT sessions and stuff. And you have to serve your time with the basics and learn the game from the ground up. And yeah, it's the cliche now in the fitness industry. Everyone wants to be an online coach.
Yep.
I started with one in 2013, and I'm not even the busiest. And this is what 2020, 7 years ago, and I'm still not where I want to be. And I've had clients who have started in PT and they're like, oh, how long did it take to develop this coaching? It just got going nowhere. I was like, I started with one, then it became 2, and then it became 4, and online's harder.
Yep.
Because I know a lot of like Phil Graham and that say like the industry is not saturated. I know the point he's trying to make, but it is, and you have to be so unique in your personality and your approach and everything you do towards PT. I mean, each 3 of us have got something different personality wise. So you really have to stand out, and that is going back to reality. You really have to stand out. You can't do this half-arsed.
Yep.
You can't just put up a photo from your last show. You can't just put up one client transformation. You have to do so much to be known in this game. It's a hard game.
Yep.
It is. That is one thing I did not realize.
Yep.
And like looking back when I was really young in the gyms and stuff, and looking at all the PTs and be like, look at him, like, you know what I mean? Like you're looking down on him, and I did not realize the amount of work that I'd have to go into this, and like the whole come in your life thing. I didn't realize it was going to become that, but I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't believe I fell into something almost by accident.
Yep.
That is. It's just an incredible job once you've not mastered it, but you know what I mean, like develop the basics now. So yeah.
Go back to what Andy said about the whether you've got 1 client, 5 clients, 15 clients. Instead of this week or whenever you're listening to this, channel all your energy into what Instagram post you're going to do or what you're going to put up on social media. Do something different with those 5, 10, 15 clients. If you speak to them once a week, say you train them on a Monday, then you speak to them on a Saturday for check-in, message them on a Wednesday. Instead of investing time on getting new clients, look after these ones like Andy done, blow them away and just and phone them and randomly on a Tuesday, just be like, just checking you did that workout this morning. Because I guarantee you, as soon as you start to look after the current crop you've got, they'll refer on. And you want to be in a world where, I'd be happy if Instagram crashed tomorrow and I know I could still be busy, I know I could still make a living.
Yeah, just off the name alone.
Yep, that's where you want to be.
Yeah.
I would go hand out leaflets, I would just go like to every single client, but can you tell your family about me? Done. But instead, everybody's so reliant on social media. I think
I've said this to a client before, that I would love to be in a position where people who know nothing about PT, know nothing about the industry, know Andy Scott PT. They know who that is, just like we know like certain brands are like builders. We know who they are, but none of us in the building trade. I want that. I want to be in Glasgow and in Scotland to be like, oh yeah, I've heard of a PT before. It's Andy Scott, or it's a Glasgow PT, or it's Scott Simpson personal training. You know what I mean? Yeah. That would be the ultimate goal for me. Is just being recognised as a brand from people that have not a clue about the fitness industry. That's all. I think that'd be a
big goal.
I'm trying, you know.
I agree with everything Andy was saying there. I think, like you said, sometimes I think you're at a risk of kind of making it sound like it's like a proper slog, and there is obviously that side of it where it is like we've went on about it, the long hours and how you have to develop yourself and the kind of level of self accountability you need to have, because no one's there to really pull you up for the wee things, but it does ultimately come back to haunt you. People notice things, but like fundamentally it is like, it's hard for me, and I'm sure there's other obviously really rewarding jobs out there, right? But it's like hugely rewarding if you can kind of do it right.
Yep, spot on, mate. That's something we just missed about. We don't get adjudicated. We don't get somebody watching over us and going, right, your client wasn't doing that squat properly. we can get away with murder. Because, like I said earlier on, the clients, it's all this sort of stuff's alien to them. They don't even know anything about it all. So we could just fill their head with garbage or make them do, terrible form and just get away with it. So what I would urge is following guys like Andy, like Scott, that you can use them as a sort of standard benchmark. You don't look at PTs that are spouting a lot of rubbish and promoting stuff that isn't anything to do with it. Follow PTs that are showing you what kind of clients they've worked with, how they've worked with them, what obstacles they've overcome, because you can learn from that and use that in your job. Simple as that. That's what we've done. We've just looked at other businesses and went, right, I'm going to take from that what I can. That's not for me. It doesn't fit into my my values or whatever. But I use, you need to set your own standard. Don't look about, if you look about, for example, there's people in independent gyms with 2 other PTs, and if you're the best PT there, and the other 2 are bad, you're going to bring yourself down, you're going to pat yourself on the back when you think you're doing well, when really it's just average. That's why I would say use social media to look out and see PTs that are just doing what you want, ethically, of course, and use that as your benchmark.
I mean, for me, it's you with social media. Like, when I see you on social media, I'm like, that's what I need to be. And I know I'm lazy with it. I know I'm lazy, but I'm like, right, what's Chris doing?
Aye.
It was weird calling you Chris.
Hawkeye.
That's no sticking.
I'm always like, what's he doing? All right, that's a cool post. I see what he's done there, and just learning from different. And just obviously, I've got the ability to kind of speak to you 1-to-1 and stuff like that, so which is great. But yeah, you need to find role models, decent role models on social media, and kind of I'm a bit of a hypocrite, but not just someone in their fucking pants. You know what I mean? With flexing. Find someone that kind of you really look up to and you want to kind of emulate within your own image. Take
from what you need that works for you, instead of trying to either carbon copy it or do something that's just not you at all. I mean, everybody's doing video now, but if it's just not you, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Just like I said with Andy earlier, he's articulate, so write an ebook, write a nice daily email to people, help people in another way that suits your personality. Cool. Anything you want to add before we wrap it up?
I think some PTs come in with very specific specialities, which is great.
Strength and
conditioning, rehab, things like that. Those things are great. Bodybuilding. But don't throw your eggs into that basket yet.
Yeah.
If you want to be the best strength and conditioning coach, if you want to be the best PT that focuses on sports rehab, then fair enough. But what's the 2 main things people want? More muscle, less fat.
Yeah.
It's rare someone's going to come in and be like, I want you to help me run a marathon, or someone's going to come and say, I want you to kind of help me with my golf swing and things like that. It's rare. So to any kind of new PTs or people thinking about going into PT, have these specialities, but realise that you need to master, again, the basics first.
Yep. And you need to shift your mindset. Just because you're married into one belief, i.e. powerlifting, bodybuilding, that the person right in front of you might not need that. You need to identify that by talking to them and, first of all, shutting up and listening to them.
Definitely.
That goes a long way. That's spot on, mate. I forgot to mention that. Cool. Right, cool. I think we'll wrap up at that then.
All good.
As always, thanks very much for listening. We filmed this in the podcast rooms, West Regent Street. So give it a wee check out. West George Street, actually, I've been informed. So have a wee check on the website. It's just newly opened up, and as you'll have seen on my Instagram story, it's pretty sick looking. As always, thanks to Scott and Andy for piping in. Hope he's